هنا القاهرة. هنا القاهرة.
Throughout my 6-year stay in Egypt, and more specifically Cairo, I was surprised by how different its people think and act despite sharing the same space. Just like Cairo has a vast amount of cars and an extremely high level of pollution, the number of different opinions and perspectives on current affairs and the realities of our world today is not any different.
Yes, Egypt is becoming more conservative, but at the same time there's like dialogue now between like people with different ideologies. And actually there are people with different ideologies now, which is like kind of an improvement. How did it change socially? Like I was born in England, and until like the late 80s, my mother never wore a veil. Even though she was like she's always been like very religious, and she like prays 5 times a day, and she does like, and she was really keen on teaching us like religion, but she never wore a veil. But after we came to Egypt in the early 90s, she just decided to wear a veil, like, because like, yeah, because it's just expected from like a woman her age to wear a veil. And I personally think, like, she would deny that, but I personally think it's like social pressure, and I think that's the main reason why the veil became so popular. I think that Egypt was more homogeneous in the 90s, maybe like 15 years ago, because all media outlets were government controlled. So like being government controlled means that there's only one message that's being conveyed to the people, which makes everyone kind of like think the same way. But now that Egypt has opened up to the world, like economically, yeah, like this is like a typical downtown like street cafe. We call them like an ahwa in Egypt. Well, an ahwa means like coffee, so it's kind of like cafe, like, yeah, a translation of cafe. And yeah, this is like a typical street cafe, like a Cairo. I wouldn't say downtown because they're like all over Cairo. Like the plastic chairs, the like metal tables, and like shisha.
Do you think you can order more than just coffee? What are the types of drinks that they serve?
Well, they kind of like serve like all types of drinks, like any other cafe. Like they have juices, they have like hot drinks, they have like soda, and shisha, of course. Like most people come here for the shisha. And it's like really affordable, like things are like £2 here, like shisha is like £2, the tea is like £1.50, so it's really affordable. You can come here, sit for, and there's also like board games, like people play like backgammon and dominoes and chess.
Like I knew since I was young that I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write stories and novels, but I wasn't sure that I would be a journalist. I never thought I would be a journalist, but like it was the most realistic like job closest to what I thought I wanted, like writing. Like for most Egyptians, family is like a really important thing. Like people grow up, and because they live all their life until they get married with their families. Like both for men and women, it's the same. Sometimes there are people that are not really attached to their families, or like they're not so close. But at the end, like family is one of the most important things in one's life, and I grew up like I was so close to my family. They're like a priority in my life. I put them first before thinking about anything. I enjoy going to the like historic and cultural places. It's becoming for my family and like most of my friends, they don't really enjoy going to these places. Like as an Egyptian, you won't find people like sitting all the time at Khan Khalili or like at Muaz, like an old Cairo, or like going to the places where you would hear like underground bands and like Townhouse Gallery and Rawabit, where like it's like places like this, like they are becoming they're coming up now. Like they are garages or like really old places that people would just put chairs, or like people would sit on the floor and they would perform. I really appreciate this. These are the places I would love. Like I enjoy going to here in Egypt.
In my work, and I work with refugees, and I work in a legal aid organisation for refugees, and I've been working in that field for about 2 years, and that's exposed me to the side of Egypt that not many people are aware of, and even myself, I wasn't that aware of in the past. There's definitely, I mean, Cairo is definitely a relatively multicultural city. There's a lot of different cultures and nationalities and ethnicities in Cairo, and it has a strong, like a big at least, urban migrant population. Although they're not really integrated into like the urban population, so not that many people are aware of them. They live sort of in like migrant ghettos, and I work with these on a daily basis. And I work also with people who are, relatively speaking, among the most marginalized populations in Egypt and within the migrant community in Egypt. So I hear a lot of anecdotes of how like interactions between locals, Egyptians, and migrants from mostly from sub-Saharan African countries. That's the majority of the refugees I work with. I mean, I haven't witnessed any, but I work in the legal aid firm, so I represent people who come to me and talk to me about problems like, you know, people who suffer from racism and xenophobia on a daily basis, people who have so many protection issues because of because of the fact that they're different. But we're becoming a more polarized society. These people are living in ghettos. They experience more xenophobia today than they did, I'm sure, 20 years ago. One of the main factors, anywhere you go, one of the main factors contributing to an increasing xenophobia is like diminishing resources, competition over resources, and pressure of social and economic pressures.
It's becoming really common now. Like people are moving outside of the city, where you can have like a number of houses depending on the place where you live. Like the compound where I live, it's so small. Like we have a limited amount of houses, and it's so small, like the area where like the houses are built on. But like there are other people where it's so big, you have like at least 100 houses or like 300, all the people living outside of the city, and they have more facilities.
I'm quite against the idea of a gated community, because I think the last thing we need now in Egypt is to actually increase the gaps between like social classes, because like most of gated communities are like quite expensive, and a very small percentage of people basically can.
Yeah, no, I was going to say there are actually compounds, like they are targeting like the low middle class. They have houses for them. I know not all the people can afford it, but they have them in their plans. It's not actually like segregating people.
I'm just against the idea of like just escaping Cairo, and like we should fix it rather than escape it. That's the whole point.
I used to feel warm, like being here in Egypt, like but now I don't feel like now I feel I'm not secure walking in the street or anything. I love the city, but everything.
Is a
like
issue.
I have to look around me all the time. It's so bad, like that I have to walk like with the music on all the time, because I don't want to hear anyone saying something stupid. Everyone, like you're walking in the street, people don't care about, like they just want to bother you. So now, yeah, I love the city, but people are making me hate it.
Yeah, the thing is, sexual harassment is a big issue now in Egypt, and I think if there's like one thing I could change about Cairo specifically, it would be like sexual harassment.
Yes.